Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up?
Ahoy.
How we doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Sorry for looking like the caddy from Happy Gilmore. I'm a little disheveled looking. I haven't shaved. The playoffs, baby. As you guys know, you've been along for the ride. The Stanley Cup playoffs. My Rangers are in it. And it is a hockey tradition that for the run of the playoffs, you don't shave. Now, despite not being a player myself, I am not shaving to support the boys. You know what I'm saying, Marvin?
Yep.
How was your guys' weekend? Oh, it's tradition, all right. You can't break tradition.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah? Dusty?
Yeah. Same, yeah. Uneventful. Didn't do a whole lot this weekend. Just relaxed. Enjoyed the lack of tornadoes.
That's right. Last week you were on high alert.
Now we're like 16 days straight, I think. We've had about 270 tornadoes in the Midwest this year so far, which is a jump, I think.
Damn. Nice hat.
Thanks.
Looks good.
Get it at the website. harshlanguage.tv.
That's right.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Welcome back, folks. This is episode 89 of the Harsh Language Podcast. Got a good one today, a long-awaited one for myself. We're talking about Godzilla Minus One today. I couldn't wait. This movie took like 3 years to come out, it seems like.
I think there was a gentleman's agreement to not release it before Godzilla X Kong because they didn't want to take away from the momentum of that one, which is why it was out internationally but not here.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, the momentum of that one is largely thanks to the wide critical praise of this one that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So,
well, it won an Oscar.
Yeah, American bullshit piggybacking off of foreign dominance, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I'm excited for the news today. There's a bunch of like Marvel stuff this week. I feel like a lot of Marvel stuff, like out of nowhere. Not really like solid
little
news.
Tidbits.
Yeah, like
just tidbits.
Little maybes out there in the universe, but we'll get into that. You guys watching anything this weekend or this over the week or what?
I watched a lot of stuff.
Oh, fuck.
Well,
you watch more than me now, I feel like. What's going on?
I watched Immaculate first.
Oh, that's right.
That was all right.
Yeah.
I kind of told you guys that I now feel like I think Sydney Sweeney is a terrible actress.
Okay. Actor. They don't like. Yeah. They don't like
actress
that.
isn't a thing anymore.
It is, but it's like it's not really the proper term. It's everybody's an
it's
actor. Yeah.
Oh, just like everyone's a doctor. Okay.
Imagine a doctress. That'd actually be funny.
That just sounds ugly.
Doctress.
Yeah, it was all right. Like it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. And like I said, she's not a great. She has some pretty good scenes in it, but overall, she isn't good. And I don't think the script was that good. I also don't like that she doesn't project her voice. Like, it's always a thing like in movies where one part is way louder, but with her, it's like worse because she just is so soft-spoken in the normal parts. It's like, oh my God, this is annoying. Can you please speak up?
Gotcha.
And we talked a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we talked a little bit last week about how Immaculate came out right before the first Omen.
Yeah.
And because people were a little disheveled with Immaculate because it's just okay. Like nobody went and saw the first Omen, but it started getting rave reviews. So it was slow out the gate. And then people were like, okay, this is the better one. Let's go watch this. And as far as similar horror movies, but
this seems to be the year of religious horror because you got Immaculate, which, as you just said, is the specific reason why I ignored almost completely the first Omen, so much so that I didn't even know that it was a prequel to the original Omen.
Yeah.
Then you got the first Omen. I think there was another one, and then you got this new Russell Crowe movie that's coming out next month, which is The Exorcism. I don't know who this fucking guy's agent is, but he's just getting all the Exorcism movies because his last movie was The Pope's Exorcist.
He was the Exorcist.
The Pope's Exorcist.
No, he's the Exorcised.
Yeah, The Pope's Exorcist was terrible. I'm not expecting much from this. However, it's written and directed by Joshua John Miller, who made a film, the only movie of his that I've seen, called The Final Girls, which I think you and I talked about, Dusty. Which is like a horror comedy spoof of like a slasher type of movie. It's a very funny movie. Fucking Adam Devine is in it. Malin Akerman, Thomas Middleditch from Silicon Valley's in it. It's actually a really funny movie. Basically, it's about a chick whose mom was a famous like final girl in the 70s, and she dies in real life in a car accident, and this girl growing up, they somehow get sucked into the film that her mother starred in. And so like they are familiar with the movie, so they are in the movie basically like surviving because they know. But it's just a really cool concept. So I don't know. Maybe The Exorcism will be good, but probably not.
Yeah. I feel like Immaculate had a good it had some good bones to it, you know. But
yeah,
execution was a bit off to me.
I assume it has something to do with Immaculate Conception, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The girl goes off to become a nun. She's a virgin. She gets pregnant.
This is Sydney Sweeney, the virgin.
Sydney Sweeney is a virgin. She gets pregnant.
That's an interesting casting for her. Not because she's... I'm not making any assumptions about her, just how she's being used as like a sex symbol. Like she's just being paraded through every fucking genre because of how she looks. But go ahead.
This is true, yeah. And then it takes a turn where it's like some science involved.
Ooh.
Basically, this scientist is kind of using the church as a cover to do his
bidding
experiments.
Classic.
Yeah. Which is cool, which is like interesting, but
classic.
Yeah. And then I watched Pray for the Devil, which is an older one. Well, not super old, like 2 years ago or something.
Okay.
And that was like a more generic kind of like exorcism style movie. It was more grandiose, like more like one of those more actiony exorcism style movies. But I actually enjoyed that one a little bit more. So they're still both pretty but
okay. So you had your own little weekend of religious horror.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And then today, obviously, I watched the movie we were watching later. But then after that, I watched the first new Planet of the Apes movie, the one that came out in like 2011, maybe.
Oh yeah, that one's fucking great.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I know the new one just came out or whatever, right, or something.
Yeah.
I was gonna watch all of them, but I didn't get to. I just watched the first one, so I will have to watch.
You watched which one? Which one is that? Just Planet of the Apes, right?
I think it's Dawn, or it might be Rise.
Dawn or Rise, yeah.
No, Rise. No,
Rise is the Planet of the Apes, 2011.
Was it Rise?
Yeah,
I really liked that one.
That's great.
I thought that's just a great movie. James Franco is really good in it. I think like everything about that. The whole trilogy is amazing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I saw something in the news. We don't have to jump to it yet because I didn't even. I forgot to go look at it. But him talking about it reminded me. They're saying they're gonna make like 9 of these. Like they're like we're in it. This is like a Fast and Furious franchise. We're just gonna keep going.
I don't know.
This is one of the ones that can keep going, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it could definitely get bad, like just like any other series that goes on too long. But
yeah. Well, from what I heard, the sequel was Dawn of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
And then I
don't think I've seen that one yet.
No, that's the first one Matt Reeves directed. That's the one that takes place a little bit later on in the war between men and apes. And then there's War for Planet of the Apes. And then that's
2017.
That's the last one in the trilogy.
Yeah.
And that kind of like wrapped it up. And then this new one is which one?
Skip, right?
Yeah.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Kingdom of the Planet.
Caesar.
This is a big time skip, actually, bigger than I even thought. I thought it wasn't that long in the future. It's obviously after the reign of Caesar, because the description says many years after the reign of Caesar. Yeah. However, I just recently read that in some of the apes in this film, There's basically like a war between like the apes, the old school apes, and like the new young Thundercats coming up in the ape kingdom. But supposedly this is so far after Caesar that Caesar's kind of portrayed as like a Jesus figure. Some people don't even believe he ever existed. So it's considerably far into the future. Yeah, so I'd be interested to see it. It's getting good reviews so far. So yeah, I'm interested.
Generation always trying to rebel against the old ways.
Yeah, this is directed by the guy who made the Maze Runner movies, so those are pretty fun. So this is probably pretty good. We'll see. One thing I wanted to mention, just going back a bit, you're talking about Sydney Sweeney. She's like blowing up. I feel like she's fucking all over the place.
Oh yeah,
that fucking shitty rom-com we watched. Another actor who's like being fucking pushed down our collective throats is Glenn Powell, who was her co-star in that shitty rom-com.
That's right.
Anyone but you.
Wasn't he gonna be in some action movie? We talked about it last week.
Twisters, yeah.
Yeah.
Twisters has been the subject of some hilarious memeing this week because of their the poster, I guess. I don't know if it just got revealed or if it has been revealed, but it's like one of the worst movie posters I think I've ever seen. And it's just a huge tornado behind them, but they're looking towards us, the viewer. And I've just seen tweets of like, what the fuck are they looking at? The tornado's behind them. It's just a bad movie poster if you go look at it. And this dude, Glenn
it looks
Powell,
like they're looking at it though.
No, it doesn't. Look. No.
Yeah.
No. I
I'm
don't know.
looking at it right now.
Are you looking at the right one?
Twisters 2024.
Yeah, they release.
Hang on, I'm gonna put it in the Discord.
Oh,
maybe they
maybe you
saw a meme.
No. This is right off of IMDb.
Oh, that one. I didn't see that one. Okay.
It looks ridiculous.
The one I saw was
yeah, no, I know. But no, this is real. Like, what are we doing here, folks?
I mean, there is a scene in the what do you call it? In the trailer where they're like, "We got twins."
Maybe there's another tornado. Okay. Oh, because it's
so
maybe
Twisters. They're looking at the other one. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's a play on a line from the original movie when they're driving down and there's a tornado in front of them and they see cows flying through the sky and they're like, "We got cows."
Right.
And this one they try to give an homage and say, "We got twins."
I think you probably solved it though with the two tornadoes. Why are we getting a sequel to First of all, why is Glenn Powell being pushed down our throats? I don't think he's a good actor really at all. Yeah, I don't even think he's good looking. Everybody thinks he's like this like really handsome guy. Tori and I joke all the time. He looks like a fucking capybara. Have you ever seen those animals? Look up a capybara. It's like him.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He's on that Val Kilmer run right now.
I guess
the heat of Top Gun 2. He got
right. So I didn't really watch much this week. I did watch. I told you guys last week. I started with my friend. We started watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy because she had never seen them. So this week we watched Two Towers. So this week coming up, we're going to be finishing it off with Return of the King.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have her watch the Hobbit movies. I don't know if they're worth watching. I don't know. I got to think about it.
Read them. I don't know.
Well, you have
just give them a read.
Well. Okay.
And not a watch.
You need to just relax because you're about to piss me the fuck off, okay? You should certainly read them. They're great. But also, the movies, they're literally a miracle from God herself. Like, you have to watch them. There's no way you could exit this mortal plane and not having seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's just not a possible thing. So eventually...
so long.
You don't... Honestly,
Nobody
do not...
got them.
No, you do not feel the length of these movies, I promise you. They're over before you know it.
I don't believe that for a second.
Dusty, come on. Give me a little bit of support here. Give me a little bit.
Well, I'm on the fence. I agree with you, and I think it's one of the greatest trilogies of all time. And I also agree with the pun or the meme of the movie is that it's 20 hours of fucking walking.
It's not 20 hours of walking. Don't listen to him.
But there's some great story in there, but there is some spots I would say do kind of feel a little slow or not unnecessary, but
right.
I recommend anybody watching them. I'm with you, but
you don't feel the length, Marvin. I promise you.
Sometimes you do.
I don't think so. Maybe Marvin will. I don't know, but we'll see. He's gonna watch them eventually. I mean, it is what it is. He's fired if he refuses. So.
I mean, that's like a Snyder fan saying you don't feel the length of.
No, that's
one of his.
No, how dare you even bring him up in the same conversation as Lord of the Rings? Like,
I almost watched that, the second one.
Batman v Superman?
I was like, nah.
What?
The Scargiver, the second one.
Oh, yeah, Scargiver.
Whatever that's.
The sequel to his
Rebel Moon.
Star Wars
What's it called?
wannabe movie.
Rubbish Moon.
Rebel
Scargiver.
Moon.
Scargiver.
Have you
Sick
watched
name,
Which,
but
man, not really though.
You know, What? You don't like the name?
Oh, she's the scar giver. Means you're just gonna walk away with a scar. You get to survive. She's
true.
not what like in Lord of the Rings. You get the Kingslayer. That's a fucking badass name.
Well, interesting.
Kingslayer is a good name.
He initially
the scar giver is like you go around fucking
it's
shit
good.
up, though.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty clever.
Snyder originally wanted to title it the Blowjob Giver, but Netflix didn't really. Netflix wasn't going for it. You know how Snyder loves his sex.
Yeah.
Have you watched anything this week, Dusty, other than Godzilla?
I actually watched that movie I was talking to you guys about. The Last Stop in Yuma County. This is Francis Gallupi. His directorial debut. Richard Brake is probably the most famous face on here, but Gene Jones is in it and Faison Love. This is a great movie. I loved it.
That's a 7.0.
It has a bit of a Wes Anderson feel, kind of, but not too Wes Anderson. Like it's just the settings. It's just an amazing watch. I loved it from beginning to end, and it's wild. It's wild as fuck.
Oh, Richard Brake, the guy from the Rob Zombie movies.
Is it comedy or what?
No. This is like a horror style. It's not even a horror. It's like a thriller, suspense
crime
thriller, I guess
thriller.
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that he is apparently enlisted to direct and write a untitled Evil Dead film that is in production?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who is?
Francis Jaluppi.
Oh, France. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, this might be something that we may want to like pick up and watch and review later down the road because I thought it was amazing. I liked it a lot.
I would watch this.
So, yeah. Just good all around. But yeah, that's all I've really watched. Just kind of waiting for shows. I need to. Oh, I do have 2 episodes of Superman and Lois left. I have been tried to finish it, then I fell asleep, and then I'm watching them at night after
Okay.
So sometimes I fall asleep and have to rewatch the end of an episode. But I got 2 left, so I'm almost done with that. So I'm ready for the new season. But
so now I'm confused because IMDb said he's credited for writer director of upcoming untitled Evil Dead. However, Screen Rant, I thought this was the one, but this is something apparently different. And I remember this was announced a couple months ago, and in February 2024, a new Evil Dead movie was announced to be in development, and it's being described as a spin-off. The 6th Evil Dead movie will be directed and co-written by Sebastian Vanacek. I think you even reported on this. Sam Raimi will still be involved in this new project, though, as a producer, along with production partner Robert Tappert, via their company Ghost House Pictures. Okay. Well, listen. As much as I really liked that last Evil Dead movie, it wasn't like a true Evil Dead movie, I don't think.
No, it wasn't.
I think, like, if I got 3 wishes right now from a genie, one of those wishes would be to revive the Ash vs. Evil Dead series. Like,
yeah,
that show was incredible. But anyhow.
We're biased, though. Like, Ash is Ash,
Well, that's the problem, right? That's going to be the problem going forward. I mean, you have two arguments, really. One of which I happen to agree with. There is no Evil Dead without Ash.
Right.
And 2, it's obviously a beloved franchise, so how could you not try to milk it for every cent it's worth? But it's going to be hard to carry on successfully without Ash, I think.
Yeah.
Which is why the show was so good, because Ash was obviously the central figure, but I think the show was done in such a way where you could sort of like slowly move away from Ash and just have him as like a supporting character or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was just, because it wasn't all about him. It was about the other characters in the show, too.
Yeah.
What's this dude had ties to ancient, like, Mayan witchcraft or whatever.
Yeah, and I obviously Bruce Campbell's fucking 65 years old. Like, how long is he going to be fighting fucking the Deadites for,
Well, they were talking about doing maybe an animated thing.
They did,
and doing some voice acting.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see.
Yep, we'll see. All right, so that's all you watched and you recommend it, huh?
Yeah, highly recommended. I have been meaning to put on Love, Lies, and Bleeding. I haven't gotten around to watching that yet. That's the follow-up to
Love, Lies, Bleeding, yep.
Rose Glass. Is that her name? Rose Glass? Directorial. It is her sophomore direction.
Yeah, she's the one that directed Saint Maud.
Yeah. So I've been meaning to watch that. I just haven't got around to it yet, but that's like on the top of my
I heard
list
it's
of
really
things
good.
Yeah.
So wait, what was this movie called one more time? I want to add it to my watch list.
Last Stop. Oh wait, no. So Last Stop in Yuma County. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's going on the list. Okay.
Good.
Was that like straight to fucking DVD or some shit? Like
yes, I believe so. I don't think it hit theaters. I think I don't even Prime Video. Yeah. Oh no, it's in theaters and Prime Video, so you can.
Man, it's crazy. Part of what I wanted to talk about later on with Godzilla is like this issue that we talk about with Hollywood all the time. It's like evident to me after watching Godzilla. It's like almost exclusively an American problem, like an American cinema problem. Like, how am I not hearing about like 9 out of 10 movies that are coming out? Like, it's crazy.
That are good because they're just
in general.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
Just in general, but like, I guarantee you, come fucking October, November, December, towards award time, like, there's gonna be 5 movies that's fucking getting hammered down your fucking throat again, and like, where are all the movies in between? They've just gone away, and I don't know. It's something we'll talk about it a little bit later, but yeah. But okay, that's on my list. I shall watch it. Let's get into some of the news this week. What you got for us, Dusty?
All right, well, we can start off with the shout out, rest in peace, Roger Corman.
Mm-hmm.
He is
B horror movie legend.
Yeah, well, not just I guess B horror movie legend, but he did do other stuff as well.
Of course,
Scorsese. I just saw on Twitter Scorsese, like when he was actually a little bit younger. He still had white hair, but probably 20, 30 years ago, he was talking. He's like, yeah, man, I learned how to make film through Roger. Like, he taught me like the preparedness of what he does and the process. And like, Roger's a genre guy. Like Little Shop of Horrors and Piranha are the 2 that I know of off the top of my head. I'd probably have to go look at some of the other ones, but
don't forget about The Oklahoma Woman.
Yeah, there's that one. But so he passed away, I think 84. So rest in peace to him. Legend is gone.
I mean, I think his most notable films, at least to me, probably like Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah. There's The Intruder, which is really good. That's the one with William Shatner. Tales of Terror. But yeah, I mean, a lot of his stuff.
He's got too many movies to even watch, really, almost.
Yeah, he's got a fuck ton, but yeah. I retweeted from our Twitter at HarshLangPod a shout out from John Carpenter. So he was very influential to a lot of our favorites.
Okay. Well, with that out of the way, let's get into it. We'll start with WB, Discovery, and Disney. Apparently, they're going to be partnering up to bundle their streaming content, going back to a cable-style bundle of streaming services without the middleman. I know you're shaking your head, but this might actually be an improvement, Dan. Zaslav was talking during a earnings hearing, I think, and he said he believes that streaming was a generational disruption, and they're trying to get past it because what everybody did trying to get into it and around it and through it. And now they're retooling everything to try and make it, profitable and functional because they broke a lot of shit and they fucked a lot of shit up. So, but as sold separately, right? Disney Plus and Hulu without ads is $20 a month. And the standard ad-free Max plan is $16 a month. So that's $36 a month. So if they charge like $40 a month, you're still paying half the price of like YouTube TV. So if you still want to go cable, you're paying $90 a month for YouTube, or you could get pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Well, about 40, half that.
My thing is that's all fine and dandy if they're producing good stuff. And I don't know that there is one streaming service other than Apple who consistently makes good shit. And I say consistently. Yes, Netflix has some good stuff. They all have some good stuff, but like they're few and far between, at least for me. I could not validate that kind of money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I mean, listen, if you're not tech savvy and like, like there's no other options for you, all right, fine, this might be cool, but there are other ways.
Was just telling me about another good show on Apple TV. It's called
one that
Hijack.
just came out. Yeah, I just added that to my list.
Yeah, Idris Elba looks good.
Yep.
Sailing the seas.
There was another one too. I don't know if that's it. I had just
Well,
added.
it came out a year ago. It came out in 2023.
No, there's something I just added to my list. Let me see if I can find it. Anyhow, go on, Dusty. I'll
Okay, yeah, while you're looking. Speaking of retooling and stuff, we were talking about Bob Iger talked about setting the pace for Marvel content going forward. The standard will be 3 movies and 2 shows per year. Seems pretty reasonable.
Big fan of that.
I mean, I don't know shows like if you're gonna you can make 3 shows a year if you want to, like if there's a demand for it. But I think 3 movies is a pretty good standard. I'd probably rather do 2 movies and 3 shows, but they're making more money off the theatrical. So
Sugar just came out. It's a
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just added
that's
that
on
to
my
list.
watch list. Yeah,
It looks real good. It's like a who. I don't know if it's a who done it, but it's like a detective series.
yeah. And of course, regardless of whatever Kevin Feige thinks or wants, Marvel is definitely not a fucking underdog. I know he
I saw
made some
this.
comments, but I get the sentiment. He's like,
Well, no, I mean, listen,
realize we've put out some stuff that has not hit well, and so people are coming in not expecting, and I want the ability to be able to exceed the expectations. So what, did you do that shit on purpose? You had the greatest 10-year run in history, and then you decided to shit everywhere to bring the hype back down so you could build it back up? Or?
Well, no, hang on. Let me play devil's advocate a little bit, because at one point in time, they were the underdog.
Absolutely.
They
yes.
did the impossible. I'm sure he was fucking.
But they're not now, is what I'm saying. He was talking like,
I don't know.
No way.
Well, listen. At one point in time, he was probably laughed out of the fucking offices whenever he pitched this idea. And, he brought it to fruition. He brought it to fruition with an underdog of an actor leading the reins in Robert Downey Jr. And he brought it to a amazing conclusion with Endgame and achieved something that nobody has ever done before and may never do again, at least that successfully. And now we've got some stinkers going on. And
So he's essentially saying he's an underdog to himself.
I think
he's
they're
the top dog right now.
I think they're the underdog again, though, because I think it's no longer Marvel of 5-6 years ago where, like, Marvel movies coming out, it's going to be a banger. Now it's like a Marvel movie's coming out and you're kind of just like, I don't know. I think they've kind of gone back into underdog territory. I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. They're not like, like super underdogs, but I do think I think the expectation is for a Marvel movie to be not great now rather than a banger.
Well, they're getting into X-Men, so my expectations only got higher. Like, if they fuck that shit up, I'm like,
Speaking of X-Men, I don't know if you have this in your news. I had mentioned there's a lot of, like, casting rumors that are going on this last week. One of them was that Janelle Monáe is supposedly being looked at to play Storm, which would be fucking sick, because she's a great actor.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not have that, no.
What else?
Interesting.
So what else you got?
Fantastic Four. Let's run through the few points we got on this one. Variety confirmed John Malkovich has joined the film in an undisclosed role. Ralph Ineson has been cast as Galactus. Filming starts at the end of July, according to The Hollywood Reporter, and it's coming out July 25th next year. So we've got a year to go, basically, and we'll have
that guy's got
4th Fantastic Four movie.
That's a great casting. He's got a fucking great voice.
Yeah.
That was another Corman. Didn't Corman do a Fantastic Four movie in the 90s?
No, I don't know. I don't know if that was his, but yeah, so this gives me hope that most of these, like, rumors and leaks that we've heard are fucking bullshit, because Antonio Banderas was, like, supposed to be Galactus, right?
Yeah. I forget. I think that was Can We Get Some Toast or My Time to Shine, or Jeff, one or the other, but we'll be talking about them a little bit later.
But basically the point I wanted to make is everybody seems to have, like, everybody's, like, convinced that what's her name from who just got cast like a week or two ago as
Silver Surfer.
Casting. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It hasn't been confirmed that she's Silver Surfer. It's only been confirmed that she's Shia LaBeouf. Like,
right.
I don't know why people are making that leap, but it has not been confirmed. So this gives me hope that hopefully all these fucking leakers are like wrong about shit. But whatever. What else you got for us? I like his.
Well,
casting.
they're wrong about some stuff and right about some stuff.
His voice is great. I don't know if you guys remember him. Marvin, do you remember him? He was in fucking the Viking movie we watched. Which what the fuck was the name of that movie? The Northman.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, this dude's
Ralph Ineson?
Yeah, this dude's a bad motherfucker.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. Yeah, he's amazing.
And he's just got that fucking voice, man. Like, he's gonna be a good Galactus, I think. So I'm happy. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I just remember him from he was in The Witch too.
Yeah, he was the dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Vavavitch, yeah.
All right.
Wait, hang on, I'm sorry. Speaking of The Witch, did you guys see the image that was released of The Witcher, of fucking Wish.com fucking Witcher? Dude, speaking of streaming services, Netflix needs to go out of fucking business because of what they did to this fucking this series. My boy Geralt, they are doing him dirty. You didn't see this? Go look up that picture, man. He looks so bad.
You're talking about
Henry?
You're not talking about the picture that was the stunt double, right?
Yeah, the one that's the stunt double.
Oh, you're talking about the stunt double.
Yeah, because
the
costume. The costume is fucking. It looks like some fucking like spirit Halloween shit. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, that's bad.
He looks like he's fighting fucking vampires at like a gay nightclub or some shit.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
All right,
go ahead. What else you got?
Okay, well, this is.
Sorry, last thing. Funny enough, I just wanted to say the dude who got cast as Galactus, Ralph Ineson, it's not his first Marvel appearance. He was actually one of the Ravager pilots in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
there's a couple. I need to put that list together of people who've been in the Marvel universe 2 or 3 times.
And another funny connection. I mentioned this to Marvin. He's playing Father Brennan in the first Omen. So he plays. Oh, nice. He plays the subject of that movie. So we'll see him soon, I'm sure. Again.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
All right. This is a rumor you gave me in the Discord. I don't know that it's been confirmed. Chris Evans will reprise his role as Captain America for a limited series about Steve returning the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Fans suspect that the show will be a 6-episode event. This was a My Time to Shine hello, but from somebody else. So I think this was a subscription-only leak from My Time to Shine hello that somebody else posted on Twitter, and that's why it got around the way that it did.
Okay.
Because Twitter has subscriptions now.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know if there's any truth to that or not. But speaking of leakers and whatnot, Marvel has subpoenaed Instagram to expose Captain America Brave New World footage leaker, and that is our friend Can We Get Some Toasts?
Crazy.
Who leaked the Captain America footage. And so they're trying to figure out who this asshole is because they're getting tired of the leaks.
What was released? Just pictures?
No, it was, I'm pretty sure it was like actual video footage from, on Instagram, you can have those like daily feeds where it's just a short video, then it goes away.
Yeah.
Like a Snapchat almost. There was some footage that was posted on there. And so I don't know. I didn't see it. I haven't looked it out. I'm not trying to spoil myself on saying, how I get about.
But what was it? Like set footage? Like somebody with a fucking camcorder watching them filming?
I don't know. I didn't want to read what the footage was because that would be spoiling it for myself.
Like when does this come out? How could there be footage? Basically is what I'm asking. How could there be footage already?
Captain America Brave New World is this year, isn't it?
I thought it was not until 2025. I could be wrong. Anyhow.
Oh, yeah, 2025. You're right.
February though. Yeah.
Yeah, February. So yeah, it's like 6 months away.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're doing post-production on it, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's fair. As for the Steve Rogers thing, I could totally see that being true. Especially given the landscape of Marvel, like trying to get people back, win people back, and hey, the best way to win people back, bring back fan favorites for a little bit. But I think that would be cool. I don't know. Creatively, I feel like that'd be kind of neat to see Steve on like a little adventure, bringing the Infinity Stones back. It wouldn't really damage like his ending in any way, I don't think. So that'd be kind of nice to see. I'd love me some Steve Rogers. So
that's a cheap way to be interesting. Without bringing them back.
Yeah, exactly.
Make some money off the name, image, likeness of Steve Rogers.
Yep.
All right. James Gunn confirms Frank Grillo is coming back for Peacemaker. Red Flag Senior. He posted a picture to his social media. Don't know if they were on the set of Peacemaker season 2 or they're still on the set of Superman.
I think Superman.
So yeah,
he posted
there wasn't much in the way of Easter eggs in the picture.
No, he posted a picture from the set of Superman as well. It was him and a bunch of like famous comic book writers. Like, so I guess a bunch of DC writers visited the set. Jim Lee was there, a bunch of others.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they're all now being
cool.
like, "Oh, this movie's gonna fucking be dope." Yada yada yada. Let's see.
I still haven't seen Peacemaker.
Oh man, that show.
I haven't either. That's on my
God,
list of
what
stuff.
the fuck?
Yeah, I
thought
know.
Dusty would have seen it for sure. That's crazy.
I love gun stuff. That's just one it's like Superman and Lois, man. I watched it and then I just stopped and I never started it back up again. And the stuff that gets too far back, you just
that's what happens to me. But you're not watching. Here's the thing: you're not watching one of the best comic book things of the modern age, which is Peacemaker, and you're not watching probably what is the best on-screen portrayal of Superman we've had to date. So you're fucking up. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I am watching one of them. What are you talking about?
Well, you're being slow about it.
Yeah, I am. That's right. Batman Cape Crusader. This is from Deadline. Coming out Thursday, August 1st on Prime. This is a 1940s set period piece. Bruce Timm, the co-creator of Batman the Animated Series, is an executive producer on this.
Wow.
And this is what I like this quote because this reminds me a lot of how we talk about Superman versus Clark Kent. Feels like they're trying to put it on this Batman. Now, he said something about they wanted a 1940 set piece because they didn't want computers and they didn't want cell phones. They wanted a low-tech detective Batman.
Yeah.
But he said he's a really weird human being. He's not obsessed with his parents' murder, but it changed him in a way where he's still not adjusted to being a human being. He's literally Batman. Inside, that's who he is. Whenever he's Bruce Wayne, that's not him with a mask off. That's him wearing a person suit. He's trying to pretend to be something that he's not.
That's right. That's Batman, baby. That's how you do Batman. Batman has been the subject of many, like, fucking papers in colleges and stuff and about psychology, and it is the real identity is Batman. Bruce Wayne is the fucking the identity, the cover up. That Bruce Wayne is not who he really is.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I already had high hopes for this coming in, but after hearing this and seeing some of the images and stuff they post on social media, it looks amazing.
But here's this.
But I'll be moving when it comes out, so I'll have to binge it when I get out to Cali.
Well, I'm a little confused because in 2021 it was announced that the new animated show was coming, and it was Batman: The Caped Crusader. But it was supposed to be sort of like a spiritual sequel to the animated series of the 90s. Yeah. So that was scrapped, I guess, because Bruce Timm was supposed to return as being creator, because it also had J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves attached to it, if I remember correctly. And Brubaker was
they
on board.
Might still be doing that because this is for that might be one they're doing for Max because this is for Prime. This is something that they
I'm reading right here. That series that I'm talking about was axed.
Oh, it was okay
because of the cost cutting. So we're getting this. Okay.
All right. Well, that's all right. I'm happy with this.
2-season order.
So yeah, and it's Prime. They've got money. If it's good, and they will continue to license Batman as long as they can, as long as it gets them clicks. Yeah. That's an easy one to fucking keep going on.
What'd you say, Marvin?
All the episodes are dropping at the same time.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Let me watch my shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of axed or not actually axed, Bloody Disgusting exclusive, industry insider Jeff Snyder shared news that A24 had pulled the plug on Crystal Lake, and it went around Twitter like a wildfire. Even Dan shared it with me.
I did.
Although Jeff Snyder did say it was unclear on whether the plug pulling had been temporary or permanent, and that it was never in. The title of on social media was they pulled the plug.
Yeah,
that was all the headlines.
Yeah.
So the story is Peacock greenlit this show in 2022 as an expanded prequel to Friday the 13th. Obviously, that would include Pamela and Jason Voorhees. Adrian King actually signed on for a recurring role, and Brian Fuller was the writer, showrunner, and EP. Now, Brian Fuller actually came out on social media and confirmed he is exiting the project. in Peacock and A24 are now looking for a new showrunner. So it has not been axed. They just had different ideas on where they wanted to go with the show, and what Brian Fuller was doing, they weren't completely happy with. So he's out, and now they're looking for somebody else. Whether that means super long delays or simple rewrites, we don't know. But it's not dead yet, fellas. Crystal Lake is still in
That's
the
good.
But wasn't there
still coming?
Wasn't there something that I may be talking out of my ass here, but
there was a lot of weird stuff about this because this was leased by the creator. I can't think of his name right now. He had a lawsuit with Horror Inc., who produced, I think, the original, and they were fighting over the rights of it. And in 2022, the creator won the rights, and so he sold the rights of this to Peacock. But we had another offshoot, didn't we? We were getting two Friday the 13th, right?
I thought Sean Cunningham was going to be involved in one of them. He was the director of the original.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was involved in this one, but this is the prequel, which involves Jason and Pam, his mom.
Oh,
so
well,
I think they were gonna.
But the IP has been going through contractual hell forever, and I think something about Crystal Lake was basically skirting some sort of contract rules to allow them to even use it. Because for the longest time, they couldn't use certain elements of Friday the 13th. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I don't really recall. But I had thought...
Yeah, I'll dig deeper into it this week and suss it out.
Yeah, I had thought Sean Cunningham was attached to Crystal Lake. He might have been. Or he might have been attached to something.
Well, I know I read his name in the
Crystal
article, the Bloody Disgusting article, mentioned his name a couple times, but I don't think I remember. I probably glossed over that part, but...
That's fair.
I don't know. Anywho, speaking of rumors, Sigourney Weaver is in talks to join the Mando and Grogu movie. That's coming out May 22nd, 2026.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay.
That's a quick little hit piece. And things that may go the way of the dodo. Radio Silence is a production company most widely known for horror films such as VHS, Ready or Not, and a couple of recent Scream movies. They did the Scream 2022 movie and the recent Scream 4 movie. They are no longer attached to the Escape from New York requel that was in the works for 20th Century Studios. They were trying to bring Snake Plissken back to the big screen. This was, I guess, timing issues have forced the company to part ways with the project. John Carpenter was actually on board as an EP, so we could have got, it wasn't, they were calling it a remake, but then the guys from Radio Silence said it was more of a requel. So don't actually know what we were going to get, but everybody that was involved with the first one was pretty much on board with the second one. And these guys have made some pretty good horror films in their day, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right. I got to the bottom of it, as I remember now. So basically, the lawsuit was between Victor Miller, who was the screenwriter of the original Friday the 13th, and Sean Cunningham, who was the director. And it was over the rights to basically Jason Voorhees and the original movie, just basically whatever comes along with that. So
yeah, but there was some stuff involved, like the mask. The mask was involved, right?
There was a lot of weird stuff.
And the name Friday the 13th was involved, and Crystal Lake was involved. There was a lot of stuff of what you can and can't use. So it was really convoluted and hard to understand.
So it says, after penning the script for the first Friday the 13th movie over 4 decades ago, Miller had sought to reclaim the rights to his work due to a provision in copyright law that allows original authors to do so after a statutory amount of time. Original movie producer Sean Cunningham and Horror Inc., the then rights holders, sued Miller to prevent him from getting the rights. So basically, this was a case of a writer just trying to get his work back and the production company that released it trying to fight him for it, which is ridiculous. Yeah. In 2018, Victor Miller won the rights battle against Cunningham, but the decision was promptly appealed. This put the Friday the 13th series on ice for the foreseeable future, and the pandemic only further delayed a final ruling from being made. Now, more than 2 years after that previous ruling,
Second
Miller
Court of Appeals
has come out on top with this latest development. But, so, the thing that I was confused about, there were 2 Friday the 13th projects going on. There was Crystal Lake, which Miller is producing.
Yes.
And then Cunningham is reportedly working on a new Friday the 13th movie for theatrical release,
yes.
which is with whatever elements of this lawsuit he has the rights to. So this is such fucking bullshit.
Which is a guy in a mask, not at Crystal Lake, probably. Like,
I don't know.
Like Jason in Hell or Freddy versus Jason.
And this says, so despite Miller being awarded the rights to the original script Crystal Lake and the names of Pamela and Jason Voorhees, Cunningham and New Line can legally produce a Friday the 13th movie with the franchise title without Miller if the screenwriter refuses to join the project. Cunningham and New Line have the most important pieces for a proper sequel, the title and the image rights to adult Jason. And with or without Miller, they are signaling their intent. So they have literally the visual image of an adult Jason and the title Friday the 13th as their rights. That's why the show is called Crystal Lake. Okay.
Right.
That is so fucking stupid. Like, what are we doing? Just how about you just shake hands and make an agreement and you both make money? Like, I don't understand.
Right.
Because you have differences in direction, what you want to do, and then you get in a disagreement. And
what
now
does
you have
it
to
matter?
fight over who
This
has the right to do
motherfucker
it.
was fighting fucking dream boxers in one of the movies. Who cares what we've had? He fucking came to Manhattan and was fucking cutting up gangsters and thugs in the subway. Like, what do we care? It's fucking Jason. He ain't trying to be fucking. What are you trying to be fucking? Fucking Oppenheimer with fucking Jason. Like, I don't understand. So last thing is there are conflicting reports on who owns the title Friday the 13th. Victor Miller cannot own the rights because Sean Cunningham paid for an advertisement in Variety for the movie in July of 1979 to test the copyright. In an interview with Friday the 13th Films, Miller gave credit for the title to Cunningham. Miller said that the title was not created until after the script was finished. Cunningham, however, told Esquire that he came up with the title when working on Manny's Orphans in 1978. Regardless of when the name was pinned down, Cunningham is the creator of the franchise name, according to both men. So it's just two fucking old dudes, like, just being fucking spiteful. It's like so ridiculous.
One of the reasons John Carpenter got out.
Yeah.
Damn.
John Carpenter's the real one. Because
one of the reasons he got out, like, I don't want, because he, what he said, he went to a horror party and he's like, all these pretentious fucks just piss me off. I'm out of here.
He just wants to smoke weed, play video games, and watch basketball. That's it.
Make music with his kids.
Yep.
All right. Well, big budget movies. I think we might have one of the most expensive films ever. Brad Pitt's F1 movie coming out has a $300 million plus budget.
Jeez, that's more. Is that more than Endgame?
Probably.
No.
Sorry, what movie was this?
F1. It's Brad Pitt's upcoming
F1.
Racing movie. Yeah, it's called F1. It's about F1 racing.
Endgame was
and there's a lot of money in F1.
56 million, by the way.
Okay, so it was above it. So this is up there with that. This is going to be directed by Joseph Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick, which is also one of the larger budget movies that we've had out. So he knows how to spend the money, I guess, because Top Gun Maverick was pretty huge. But yeah, Brad Pitt starring in an F1 movie. That'll be interesting, even though nobody really likes F1 racing. Except
Nah, yeah.
Speaking of big budgets,
They fucked Vegas up with that shit. I don't
Did
want
they?
to hear about no F1 shit.
speaking of big
Those
budgets,
down the roads.
not quite as much, but did you guys see the little teaser for Megalopolis that's coming out in 2024? The much
Man, I've
anticipated.
heard mixed things about that. I've heard mixed things, so I don't know. I'm just holding judgment. I've not really watched anything. I just kind of want to watch it. I want to go because I'm hearing mixed things.
Well, they released a little teaser. This is the much anticipated Francis Ford Coppola film that's coming out. It looks visually
One of his first
great.
movies in a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, his
That's
last
one he's been wanting to make for a long time, too.
apparently he's been wanting to make this like since fucking forever. I think the last actual movie he directed, I honestly couldn't even tell you.
It's like Denis saying he was he was storyboarding Dune when he was 18.
Do you want to know what the last notable movie he directed was?
Yeah.
Can you guess?
No.
Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1992. He's made movies since, but they are nothing or no. I've never heard of them.
Right.
I'm sorry,
I see
The
what you're saying.
Rainmaker in 1997. Okay, that one.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Okay.
But yeah, so
90s.
yeah, Megalopolis is supposedly his like magnum opus. This is like the thing that he's been like.
That means
know.
everybody in Hollywood is going to love it, and the fans are going to have mixed reviews.
Everybody's in it too. Adam Driver, Giancarlo Esposito, fucking Aubrey Plaza, Shia LaBeouf, Jason Schwartzman, Taylor
Is this
Shia.
based on a book? I haven't heard of the book, if it is.
No. It's just a long-time passion project for Coppola, who first conceived the idea for the film in 1977 and actively started developing in 1983. Megalopolis underwent significant delays and numerous cancellations over the years. Coppola revived the project in 2019 by spending $120 million of his own money on the film. Filming took place from November 2022 to March 2023. The film is Coppola's first directorial effort since Twixt in 2011, marking his longest gap between films. And the premise is an accident destroys a decaying New York City like metropolis. Caesar Catalina, an idealist architect with the power to control time, aims to rebuild the city as a sustainable utopia, while his opposition, corrupt Mayor Franklin Cicero, remains committed to a regressive status quo. Torn between them is Franklin's socialite daughter, Julia, who, tired of the influence she inherited, searches for her life's meaning.
Well, I mean, I tip my hat to him because that's what you do when you have fuck you money.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, listen,
nobody wants to finance my film. Fuck you. I'll do it myself.
Like, what's the most expensive thing you guys have ever purchased, do you think?
Yeah. Vehicle.
Probably, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Imagine like multiplying that by like however much. Like, imagine just being like, yeah, whatever, 120 million. All right, fine.
10x, just 10 or 12x that, yeah.
But-
a couple commas.
Yeah.
Levels.
So, yeah, I mean, hopefully it's good. I mean, the guy's a fucking movie legend. So, yeah, I can't imagine it being not good, but whatever. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. What else you got for us, Dusty?
Well, we got the Sydney Sweeney news. We talked about her a little bit. She's about to get super jacked. She's starring in an upcoming boxing biopic about Christy Martin. She talked about when she was 12 to 19-year-old. She was a grappler and a kickboxer and is itching to get back in the ring. So I don't know. Maybe this is her. Maybe this is her though. Like, you know, Marvin, she was a grappler and a kickboxer when she was a kid, and now as a she's going to get into fight. Maybe this is her niche that she gets to get into, is like athletic women roles and whatnot instead of stupid rom-coms.
I'm sure she's a good actor. She's getting roles, I think, just like that probably aren't like good. Like I would imagine the writing in Immaculate's probably not great, right?
No.
Well, it's Hollywood doing Hollywood things. It's the hot ticket item. You know, that's why. Yeah, we get names like, Antonio Banderas for Galactus.
Right.
But anywho, scheduled for sometime in 2026. Andy Serkis will direct and star in the next Lord of the Rings movie, which will be a prequel focusing on, you guessed it, Gollum.
Is it a prequel, though?
It is.
Are you sure?
The Hunt for Gollum. Yes.
Okay.
This takes place before, not after.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
He fell.
What? Yeah.
Oh, no, we can't ruin it.
Can't ruin it for Marvin. Come on.
Oh, he has. Oh, right. Marvin. Yeah.
Hey, was that Lord of the Rings show? Was that a prequel too, or what was that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Which I'm hesitant to watch. I asked a bunch of people who are fellow Lord of the Rings fans. They've said it's pretty good, worth watching. I was a little bit hesitant to get into it after I finished the trilogy because, as you guys know, we talked about it here in the show, it has like an insane budget. In fact, they went back to New Zealand to film it. They stole a lot of stuff from Peter Jackson without like really asking him for his opinion or permission or whatever. But apparently the second season now, they're pulling back on the budget. They're leaving New Zealand, and a lot of it's going to be shot on a fucking blue screen in a studio. So
that's a downgrade.
Yeah. So I don't know if I really want to commit to the first season. I like it, and then being disappointed when the second season comes out is not as good. So maybe I just skip it altogether. We'll see.
Well, the original trilogy's director, Peter Jackson, and screenwriters, Fran Walsh and Philip Boyens, will act as producers on this film. They're actually all working on another film too, but I think there's an animated Lord of the Rings coming out at the end of this year, which they also worked on. So
little update to the 70s
totally different
one?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you ever see that 70s Lord of the Rings animation?
Mm-mm.
No? It's good.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay. Well, all right. And then you got anything else that I didn't mention before I get to the last piece of news?
Marvin does.
Marvin.
What you got, Marvin?
So sadly, there's there's apparently a season 2 of Shogun that's being like in the works, being talked about. I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but it's up in the air. As you guys know, Shogun
it's wildly popular right now.
Yeah, but the first season covers all of the source material, so we're in uncharted territories now with the second season.
That could be a problem.
Have you guys seen it yet? You haven't seen it yet.
Not
right?
yet. No.
Not yet. No. On the list.
Well, yeah, it doesn't need a second season. So I don't.
Oh, you thought it was good, so you're disappointed now.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be terrible.
I thought all the people
this is
involved.
Like
it had a conclusion, and it also has no more source material.
The Last
I have
of
no
Us.
idea where this is gonna go.
This is kind of like The Last of Us, where the first season was the first game, and then the next 3 seasons are going to be like them taking liberties with the second game.
Are they doing 3 seasons?
They're doing 2 or 3 seasons for the next game. Yes, they're gonna take some liberties and do their own thing. And yeah, I'm with you. That's well, you know, Dan has ranted and railed about The Witcher for how long? You're taking liberties and not sticking to the source. And
With Shogun, I had heard that the people involved were not interested in doing a sequel.
Money talks.
Sure does. Yeah. And it usually doesn't say anything good.
Yep. No, they're just gonna try to milk this, and like I said, you don't have any more source material. What are you gonna do?
Hey, I don't know. Look what they did to Game of Thrones. Not that I'm familiar with it, but from what I've heard.
They were even finished writing them and they took over.
Source material don't matter, Marvin. Not anymore.
Okay.
The only other thing I had mentioned was that apparently John Malkovich was confirmed to be in Fantastic Four now too. So
yeah, you were looking up information when I popped that one off. That was in the Fantastic.
Oh, you mentioned it.
Yeah,
okay.
that was.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, an undisclosed role. He's just tied to the project. We know. So
yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well. We talked about it before. Dan's not a big fan of the MonsterVerse, but on the heels of Godzilla x Kong's $555 million global box office sales, which is the best earning since Kong Skull Island, Dan. Fans are saying it's the best movie since Kong Skull Island with their dollars. The MonsterVerse movies has earned, this is amazing to me, $2.5 billion on their movies. And as you would expect, another sequel is in the pipe with an MCU director. The Hollywood Reporter was breaking the news that Shang-Chi scribe Dave Callahan is set to pen the next film. So we've got another Godzilla x Kong sequel in for the MonsterVerse. Now, to compare, the MCU is at $11.7 billion, and Star Wars is actually only at $5 billion. So the MonsterVerse hitting $2.5 billion makes it one of the most successful film franchises in the history of film franchises.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Now, these movies are getting a little ridiculous, kind of like F-14, where they're driving cars in space. But it's like a fun, dumb summer blockbuster to me is what I feel like the MonsterVerse movies are. Like, you don't have to like be too picky about it. Just enjoy it for what it is. A lot of CGI and stuff, but definitely not as good as the movie we're here to talk about, which is not in the MonsterVerse, but it is still the monster Godzilla himself, Godzilla Minus One. So that's everything in the news today.
All right. Thanks for the news. I thought that the Legendary Pictures deal with them and Toho is over.
Oh, that they can't make anymore?
Yeah.
Well, they're making one more.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. So I think I may be mistaken. You might want to look it up while I speak, but I thought because Toho, which is the production company of the Godzilla franchise, the property, they own it,
right? Like the 80 movies that they have out. Yeah,
they made the deal with Legendary for these MonsterVerse films, but and Toho couldn't release a Godzilla film up until just 2023, which is why Godzilla Minus One came out when it came out. Right. It was the first one they were allowed to contractually release. So I don't know if that deal is done or not, but
they probably made a deal to have exclusive rights until a certain time. But now the deal is that they can both make movies. Because I know that the
Maybe.
director was talking about wanting to make a Godzilla -2, maybe, or a Godzilla +1. Who
He
knows?
left it a little bit open. Oh, here we go. The licensing agreement that gave both Toho and Legendary Entertainment the rights to make Godzilla movies, so long as they aren't in theaters at the same time, has produced wildly different approaches to the world's most famous kaiju. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go.
So as long as they're not in film at the same time. But it could be argued that the success of the one that you just mentioned, whatever the fuck, Godzilla X Kong, whatever the fuck it's called, is successful because of the success of this film. So yeah, let's get into it. We're talking about Godzilla -1. I've been super excited to watch this. I didn't get to the theaters when it came out. But Marvin, have you watched a Godzilla movie before this?
In totality, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's a million of them.
There's a little bit of exposition I have to give here, not for you, but just in general, because it's a long and fabled franchise, one of the most popular icons,
One of the oldest, yeah.
one of the biggest pop culture icons in human history. It's like you have Superman and Batman, and then you got Godzilla. Like that's how big it is. But Godzilla first debuted in 1954, and it was directed by Ishiro Honda, and 33 Japanese films have been produced by Toho. There have been 5 American films with Godzilla, bunch of video games, novels, comic books, television shows, and he's now known as the King of Monsters. I'm pretty sure Godzilla is what really like popularized the kaiju, like in general. I'm not 100% certain, but I know the term is like associated with giant fucking monsters, which is like a Japanese like science fiction subgenre, and it was created by somebody else. But I'm pretty sure like Godzilla is what really fucking popularized that. I think Godzilla, the original in 1954, is often regarded as like the first kaiju film. So take with that what you will.
Yeah. It's crazy though. We're closer to Godzilla being 100 years old in cinema than we are from that 1954 film. That's wild.
Say that again?
We're closer to Godzilla being 100 years old in cinema.
Oh, meaning, yeah.
Than we are to the original 1954 film.
Yeah, a long time has passed. And so what is Godzilla? I guess he's just a prehistoric reptilian monster. I don't know if any movie has really ever like tackled specifically what he is, other than the fucking bullshit American one that came out in like the 2000s that P. Diddy did the fucking theme for.
Really?
Yeah,
with all the babies,
with Matthew Broderick. Yeah, the Diddler.
Yeah, that one was. Yeah,
but yeah, I think the most common theme is that he's just been awakened and empowered after many years by nuclear radiation.
Radiation.
With the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon 5 incident still fresh in the Japanese consciousness, Godzilla was conceived as a metaphor for nuclear weapons. Others have suggested that Godzilla is a metaphor for the United States, a giant beast woken from its slumber that then takes terrible vengeance on Japan. As the film series expanded, he became sometimes less serious. Sometimes he was an anti-hero. Sometimes he was just a defender of humanity. But this movie, Godzilla -1, certainly brings him back to his roots, where he's not evil, he's not malevolent, he's not vengeful. He's just a fucking force of nature. He's just a creature trying to fucking do what creatures do. Just so happens to be really fucking destructive.
Well, he wasn't that bad until they decided to nuke him.
Yeah, that's what I thought was interesting about this. That's why I'm actually bringing up his origin, because this movie definitely leans on that angle of like U.S. bad. Now, a couple things I wanted to talk about before we actually get into the movie proper is and we don't learn a lot of stuff here in the American exceptionalist education system, but the United States post World War II, up until now, obviously, is like, we are fucking heinous. Like some of the shit that we've done. Okay. It wasn't like we just dropped bombs on Japan, which in and of itself was heinous. There was no reason to do it, as history would tell us. Japan was like, nah, we're done. We concede. We just let us maintain like, because at the time during World War II, they still sort of held on to some of those like those feudal Japanese structures, one of which being the emperor. They just wanted to maintain the emperor, who was just a figurehead really, but US said, nope, we need a show of force. We need to show that we don't fuck around, and we bomb them, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But after World War II, we did the Bikini Atoll fucking bullshit, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. I only became familiar with it because of Metal Gear Solid, because it's mentioned in those games, but I don't remember ever learning about this in school, ever. And what that was basically after World War II, this group of islands was chosen by the United States as a nuclear weapon testing site. All 176 of the atoll's inhabitants were forcibly relocated in 1946 to another island east of Bikini Atoll, which had inadequate resources to support the population. The people began experiencing starvation by early 1948, and they were moved again to another island. The United States used the islands and lagoon as the site of 23 nuclear tests until 1958. In 1970, about 200 residents were returned to their home island by the U.S. government, but scientists found dangerously high levels of strontium-90 in well water in May 1978, and the residents' bodies were carrying abnormally high concentrations of caesium-137. They were evacuated again in 1980. The atoll is occasionally visited today by divers and a few scientists, and is occupied by a handful of caretakers. So basically, the United States walked in, started testing thermonuclear weapons at this point in time on a population.
They did a lot of weird stuff in the archipelagos over there.
Yeah,
was that covered in Untold History of the United States?
No,
I feel like it was.
I don't think that. I don't think that particular part.
No.
Maybe briefly, but as a byproduct of the Bikini Atoll thing was a Japanese tuna fishing boat called the Daigo Fukurua Maru. I don't know. I definitely didn't pronounce that right. It's called the Lucky Dragon 5. I mentioned it earlier. This is one of the events that I think led to the inspiration for Godzilla. And this was a tuna fishing boat with a crew of 23 men, which was contaminated by nuclear fallout from the Castle Bravo weapons testing in Bikini Atoll in 1954. The crew suffered acute radiation syndrome for a number of weeks after the Bravo test in March, all recovered from the immediate effects of the American test detonation, except for Kuboyama Aikichi, the boat's chief radio man, who died on September 23rd, 1954 from complications of radiation sickness. Kuboyama is considered the first victim of the hydrogen bomb and of test shot Castle Bravo. So no secret that the United States is kind of fucked up, but we don't learn these things here. I know it's not really relevant to the movie, but it really is relevant to the movie, because I think what I just said, like, imagine being Japanese and like what America represents to you. Like, we're fucking monsters. Okay. Yeah. And it makes sense that you would be inspired to create a literal monster powered by radiation to fucking come in and just destroy your fucking cities. Okay. And the reason I brought this up as well, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just saying it's deep. I agree. Yeah, it's fucking awful.
And I think that this movie really, like, I think deals with these themes well, because the movie, they chose to frame this film during and mostly post World War II. Like right after World War II.
Because this stuff was destroyed everywhere.
And Godzilla in this film, when we first meet him in the cold open, he is like a baby fucking, I mean,
small.
But, I also think that was a clever way of making it such that only the Japanese were able to deal with this, because they're like, well, the Americans won't help us because of the Russians, because of the war. So this is just all on us. We have to deal with it ourselves. Like, it's good writing, but also good story timeline settings and whatnot.
Yep.
Well, it's great writing, because obviously, like a dusty criticism would be like, well, why isn't the whole fucking world like banding together to fight this thing?
Yeah.
But it's an unwinnable fight. And that's why I really wanted to bring up the history of the United States post World War II, because to fight the United States, especially if you're in the mindset of another country, having just been fucking decimated by the United States, we're an unbeatable foe. Like there's nothing you can do. And that's really what Godzilla is. And that's where the regeneration comes in. And that's why, I think the movie did a really great job of giving him a bit of an origin without giving him an origin. When you first meet him, he's just like, oh yeah, he's just a fucking like mythological creature that like we didn't even know was real until now.
Yeah, he's like a 30-foot lizard coming out of the water.
He's just a big lizard. And then the Bikini Atoll stuff happens some years after that cold open, and then he fucking mutates into the big fucking horrible beast that he is. So let's get into the actual movie. So as I said, it begins, it's post-war Japan, and Japan is at its lowest point, and fucking Godzilla fucking shows up. And this is about our main character here, whose name is, I'm going to butcher this, Koshi Shikishima. I for sure mispronounced it.
Okay.
But he is a kamikaze pilot in the war, and as we know, kamikaze pilots had a very specific duty during World War II. Japanese aircraft were loaded with explosives, and they were tasked with making deliberate suicidal crashes into enemy targets. And in Japanese culture, I guess at the time, or maybe still is, I really couldn't say, but like, they're
a very honorable culture.
They are a very honorable culture. And this kamikaze pilot, our main character, did not fulfill his duty. In fact, he left. He did not want to fucking sacrifice his life.
Yeah.
And the movie opens with him
land. He snuck away to land to say, oh, there's some problems, I don't know. Yeah. And then they couldn't find any.
Right. And this is where he first encounters little baby Godzilla, who devastates this island that he's on. And he's tasked with shooting Godzilla with the plane's gun. And again, he sort of retreats and doesn't pull the trigger, causing everybody to die. And he returns home to Tokyo, which has just been basically fucked up from a bombing raid. And he lost his parents. The city's devastated, and he meets a young lady, Noriko Oshi, and he chooses to take her in, and a little girl that she saved from the wreckage, and they sort of live together over the years, not as like a relationship kind of way, just like sort of like a just a human connection kind of like support type of way. So they have this nice little family, and we get this flash forward to the future, and like big fucking angry Godzilla is like fucking, he's going to make landfall on Tokyo. He's going to fuck some shit up. And the Japanese government is keeping it under wraps because they just, I don't know, they don't want to cause panic or some crazy shit.
Yeah. Knowledge is power.
And so that's basically the movie. It's about him wanting vengeance on Godzilla because Godzilla devastates Tokyo. His girlfriend, friend lady, she gets fucked up in the wreckage, is presumed dead, and then he has this vengeful quest with some scientists to take down Godzilla.
I think it's more of he has a fascinating character arc.
He does, yeah.
He comes off as a straight up coward in the beginning because he's a Japanese guy and he's shamed for it by some of the people in the film along the way.
Yeah,
and every time he freezes or comes into contact with something, people around him, they all die, and he survives. So he's got this survivor's fucking guilt.
He has terrible survivor's guilt. Yeah. Yes, for sure. That was just the sort of like I don't know. The characterization of this movie is one of the best I've ever seen in a Godzilla movie. This is probably the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen, like hands down. I think just one of the best like dramas I've ever seen, hands down. Like it's a really fucking well written and well acted movie that Godzilla just happens to be in. It's like God.
That's what I was gonna say. Is what separates this film from the MonsterVerse films is you don't really know or give a fuck about any of the humans in that. It's all about Kong and Godzilla. And this one, you're like, holy shit, man, these fucking poor people. And this guy, Shikishima, man, get it together, bro.
I mean, you could take Godzilla out of the story altogether, and this is just a really great story of like survivor's guilt about a guy in the war who fucking didn't want to fucking suicide bomb himself for his country, who comes back to everybody else had died and sacrificed, and he didn't. It's like, it's just, that's what this is about, and Godzilla is just like in it. And I thought that was
well,
brilliant.
and you also, you get to the, to jump to the end, you get to the conclusion of like, you can do the right thing and not fucking die. Like there is an option where like, then that's
Totally.
away from the whole kamikaze thing was kind of stupid is a little bit of the message I got there. But
what did you think, Marvin?
The movie was very enjoyable. That you mentioned that like the ending there, the Navy, the ex-Navy officer, general or whatever, that speech he gave, I thought that was awesome. How he was talking about, just like you said, like, Japan hasn't really valued lives. Our country hasn't really valued lives as it should by not incorporating injector seats into the freaking kamikaze planes and all these other things.
Japan was ruthless back then. Like when they were fighting China and they were just sending hundreds of thousands of people. Just go fuck them up and die. We don't care. We'll just keep sending more.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. The visuals were stunning. I mean, the destruction of the buildings and the terrain, but also Godzilla himself and his heat beam was awesome. The plot was really good, and the drama was really good. That was something I definitely took note of. I actually got a little choked up in that scene leading up to the pilot flying the fighter into the Godzilla's mouth. Yeah. Like, because they cut to the silence and just they just really set like I don't know, it just felt like a super heavy. It was like a super heavy scene. Like that was really well put together on that scene.
There was a couple.
I just love how animated Japanese actors are. I want to give some credit to the cast.
Yeah.
Not only their faces, but their voices as well. It's just it comes together really well.
There were a couple moments where I got choked up. And like the story between the two main characters, well, I wouldn't say, the main character and the girl, Noriko, like obviously they aren't in a relationship. There's like a bond between them. Whether that goes on to become romantic or not is neither here nor there. They loved each other. And I thought that was really well done. And then obviously at the end, he gets the letter that she's still alive, which is a little Easter egg, a little Godzilla Easter egg. She's infected with the G cell.
I saw that. Yeah. The G cell.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, in one of the older Godzilla films, a scientist uses the DNA of his dead daughter, some plant, and some G cells, and he creates a monster, like a plant-like monster. I forget the monster's name, but it fights Godzilla. And so this is like a little Easter egg to that. And of course, at the end, we see Godzilla regenerating. And, so it leaves it open for a sequel, which is fine. I mean, Godzilla is like James Bond. Like he's just everlasting. You don't have to have like a serialized story for him. You could just set Godzilla in any different fucking story.
That's true.
Unless you're Gareth Edwards and you make the worst Godzilla movie ever made. But
I thought their plot to kill him was great. Is that like always the plot in Godzilla, or is it always something different? Or?
Honestly, I don't remember the original films. Like they do everything. They fucking recruit other monsters. They make their own Godzilla, which is Mecha Godzilla. Well,
and like you said, sometimes Godzilla is fighting other things for the humans. Like there are other monsters that are tearing shit up, and Godzilla's like, "Hey, bro, this is my planet. Fuck off, please."
Yeah, this movie just really, for me, grounded Godzilla in a way that I haven't really ever seen before. I've seen a number of Godzilla films growing up. I don't have like a huge attachment to them. Some of my friends are like really into Godzilla, and I think even you are, Dusty. Like I think you really like Godzilla.
I'm a big fan, but I don't have like a huge attachment. Like it's
But I don't know. It probably has to do with the fact that it's like the visual effects, but also just the storytelling in this one. I think really grounded him for me, which sounds ridiculous because it's a giant fucking lizard that shoots fire out of his mouth, but. When I say grounded, like because the story and writing was so good, this movie is more about war. It's like this is a war film, really, is what it is.
Yeah.
And
kind of, like going to the war thing, how the Soviet Union and America wouldn't help. It's kind of like the same with like, if the problem's in your country, you deal with it. We're not going to help you until we have to. Kind of like the same thing with America and like Hitler, right? Like they didn't want to help until they had to, or they felt that it was.
That was the American. That was the American like thing.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of like a play on that too. Like, we're not going to help.
Churchill was celebrating the night that Pearl Harbor happened because he knew the war was won that day. Like he knew, he was happy. Even though it was sad as fuck because
that's the American.
He was.
That's the American version.
He was happy.
But this was directed by Takashi Yamazaki, and some Japanese film critics have criticized him for his films being a little bit left-leaning and also being a little too nationalistic. And, you know, I guess watching this movie, I could kind of see how it's a little bit like pro-Japan, but that's not a bad thing. Being nationalistic is not bad unless it's
There's
bad.
nothing wrong with being nationalistic. There's nothing wrong with being nationalistic.
I think it's silly, personally. We see but that's just my own view of the grand scale of things. But we see what nationalism is day to day and how bad it could be, as have other countries. We've seen it in history, but I don't think it's inherently a bad thing. But I can see that with this film, how it is very like pro-Japanese, but that's, I think, a strength of it because they have such a unique perspective. They're like one of the only fucking peoples on Earth in the history of mankind that have just been fucking like indescribably attacked. Like it's unbelievable. I don't know that any other country could have that same perspective as Japan. And it's interesting that this movie came out like the same year as Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was nominated for several awards. I think the only one it got was
visual effects. Yeah.
Yeah, visual effects, which was amazing. Like, I thought the attention to detail with like Godzilla's feet just fucking up the ground. Like, you don't get that in the monster. Like Kong and Godzilla running around destroying buildings, but not putting divots and messing up roads and shit. Like, come on, man.
I made a joke about Gareth Edwards' movie, the first Godzilla that came out in like 2016, I think. That movie cuts away from Godzilla every time Godzilla's on the fucking screen. Like, what are we doing? But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, in this case, like I said, so in Hiroshima, there were an estimate of between 70 and 126,000 casualties. And in Nagasaki, between 60,000 and 80,000 over the course of like 4 months. And I think the total death toll between like prisoners of war and soldiers and civilians was between 129 to 226,000 Japanese people were killed. Like, that is like untold horrors that I don't think any other, like, I mean, I guess post like fucking Roman Empire fucking bullshit, like who knows, Genghis Khan and all that, but like in the modern age, like this is insane. And so like to be pro-Japanese, I don't think is that big. Like, it's not like, how is that a criticism to like be like, hey man, we suffered some crazy shit. And like, I think we should like come together as a people to like be stronger. Cause that's kind of what this movie was about. This movie was about like healing and like, you know, fucking redemption and like all those things.
Yep. I agree. I don't see
the value of life and the worth of life are, that's in there a lot because, I mean, he goes through it and then discovers, you know, his lady's still alive and, you know, he's still alive. Like, there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of that in this and it's really good.
Yeah. I mean,
I have no issue with Japanese people being like, you said nationalists or whatever.
Yeah, nationalistic.
Like, I mean, they had an atom bomb dropped on them. They're the only country to have an atom bomb dropped on them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they're pushing a genocide onto people or something, you know? So.
No, but the problem is here in the United States, when the way that
you could argue they were a little genocidal to China when they were fighting them. Like I said, they were ruthless back in the day.
That's fair. Yeah,
I think the issue is that in the United States, when we talk about other countries, we frame other countries' nationalism as anti-American.
Right.
Which is fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. No,
somebody having pride for
There's
living
nothing wrong with being proud from where you're from.
No, of course not. But I'm saying the way that we here in the United States frame it, because we have to make sure that like, hey, everybody's against us. If you ain't with us, you're against us. They said that shit after fucking 9/11 happened. Oh, if you don't support our invasion of Iraq, you support the terrorists. It's like, what? Oh, you don't support what Israel's doing in fucking Gaza? You support fucking terrorism. It's like, what?
Right.
How do we make these leaps? So, and in the same way, it's like, oh, well, if somebody who lives in Japan is pro-Japan, like, well, guess what? They are anti-American. It's like, that's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life. And you just see all this stuff in this movie, and I don't know. I just thought it did a really, really great job of that. Because we, as Americans and as other countries do, you live in a bubble, and you don't see the perspective of other countries. I think here in the United States, that happens in the worst cases. We don't see like how other people view us. We just think everybody's the enemy and everybody hates freedom and everybody hates all this shit. It's like, no, man, put yourselves in the fucking, in like like in the shoes of fucking people who just survived an attack like that. Like, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. The people that are still kind of like, I mean, America has the bases like everywhere, right? And
oh my God, yeah, it's unbelievable.
And there's no other country that can have like a military base within the United States. So I mean, these people have a right to feel a certain way, or
of course.
Whatever,
and this is why I say sometimes is like, I don't say it in like the fuck yeah America like way, but like no country on earth would fuck with the United States because we're Godzilla. Like it's not possible.
Yeah.
It's just not. We have more fucking weapons and fucking tech than any other country out there. We are ready to strike from anywhere on the fucking planet. We probably we probably have fucking James Bond fucking space stations that nobody knows about, ready to fucking strike from space. Like our might.
All that is only to the tune of other nations, though, and just like security on a computer. You're most vulnerable from within.
Of course, yeah.
And you could easily argue that there are probably more Americans right now who hate America and being in America than there have ever been because of what we've done over the last 50 to 60 years. Like, people are disgusted to call themselves Americans in some places in this country.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with being proud of your heritage. Like, America has lifted more people up out of poverty than any other country in the fucking world.
Well, when I said that, I think being proud, like, I can't wait to see the comments on this. When I was in school, I'm not saying I was some sort of fucking like, activist or anything, but I never used to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance because I never understood it. And I used to get in trouble every day from one of my teachers. He's like a fucking Marine proud, like, probably a MAGA guy at this point, but he used to be like, stand up for the fucking pledge. And I used to be like, well, why? He's like, 'cause it's your country. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, it was never explained to me like why I should pledge allegiance to the country. Like, I pledge allegiance to myself and my loved ones. Like, that's how I view it. And as far as like nationalist pride, like, totally think it's fine. But for me, I think it's a little bit stupid because, as you know, I have a different frame of mind of a grander scale of like, well, we're all fucking human beings on Earth. I think I'd rather be more proud of being a human being, perhaps the only fucking... I take more pride in being from Earth, which may be the only planet in the universe that has life on it, than just being from a fucking small fucking section of it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yep. But in the thing, okay. And
that's just me. I don't think everybody should think like that. But
I mean, we're getting into political philosophy and shit now, but like, if America was anarchist and you didn't have any borders would still naturally be drawn because
probably
people live in places and they're like, this is how we want to live. And these people over here are like, no, this is how we want to live. And so you draw those borders like, fine, you stay over there, you live your way. We're going to stay over here. We're going to live our way. So that, like, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is like borders are inevitable because tribalism.
Yes, for sure.
And America is a tribe of the most diverse people all across the world. But I think sometimes that gets missed in all of it because of the atrocities that we have done and are still continuing to do via proxy in other countries right now. But I don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of where you're from or where you're going in that nation because you're a part of making that nation better. But
I mean, people confuse where they're from with like the people running the country, though. Like, you don't have to be proud of the people running the country to be proud of.
You can love your country and hate your government. Absolutely.
But these are all much deeper conversations. But I thought this movie did a really good job. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I really feel like these themes that we're talking about were like all within this movie. Like,
oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, at the end, like they killed Godzilla, and they're still saluting the motherfucker. Like, hey, good fight, brother. Sorry about it.
But that
you're
goes
dead now.
But that goes back to the old Godzilla films, where like Godzilla is, like I said, he's not a fucking malevolent. It's not a malevolent fucking,
Entity, yeah.
He's not an entity that has like hate or feelings or is like, I hate humans, I hate that's not what it is. He's just an animal.
Like a T-Rex.
I just am. Yeah.
Right. He just is.
Isn't evil.
So that's why they saluted him, because he's a creature of fucking nature. They just had to, like, it's a matter of fighting for survival, right?
That's life. Life is fight. You want to go after me? I'll go after you.
Right.
And we'll see. Better man wins.
And what is the nature of mankind if not like, let's say Godzilla, like, I mean, this is obviously speculative, but if Godzilla didn't exist, if Godzilla didn't, let's say, destroy cities or whatever the fuck, or anything in his path, the fact of the matter is humans are such that we would probably fuck with him anyway.
Oh, yeah. We would 100% kill him and or chain him up and study. Like, it would not be a nice thing that we did. Like,
and that's more in line with King Kong. That's like pretty much what King Kong is. It's like, oh, here's this fucking creature that we just should leave alone, but we're going to fucking chain it up and bring it to America for fucking money and fame.
Jack Black.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's kind of where they're going with the Kong X or Godzilla X Kong in the MonsterVerse stuff. It's like, hey, these guys have been here. They've for longer than we've ever been here, maybe about the same time, because there's tribes down in the Hollow Earth or whatever. But we're just going to have to learn to live together, because we are not the apex predators on this planet. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I feel like we'd like the hubris in humans. We would try. You're right. Like, we would try. Like, if an apex predator came along, like a Godzilla just came out of the water and said, I'll here fuck shit up, we'd murder that fucker and study and be like, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's us.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So just reading here, like, from what I was reading earlier, there is that, like, in later Godzilla films, they do address disparate themes and commentary, including Japan's apathy, neglect, and ignorance of its imperial past, natural disasters, and human conditions. So there are, like, throughout his existence, Godzilla has been a stand-in for a lot of themes that we deal with here on planet Earth.
Yeah. What's up with the way Godzilla walks? Is that just Godzilla thing? Like,
well,
he just walks
that's
like a fucking robot.
Well, that's actually another thing.
Practical.
So, it was a man in a suit back in the 1950s, but
and claymation and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, but there is actually something to that. Where did I read it?
Is it just because he's 20,000 tons, maybe?
Maybe that has something to do with it. But there's actually something to his walk, I think, which is, I think it like makes, I read somewhere earlier, I should have taken a note of it, I can't find it, but basically like the way he walks is what makes him a empathetic figure. Because he's like lumbering and like low mobility, like he's a defenseless creature, kind of like he just happens to be huge. Like it does, you know what I mean?
Just fucking everything up, yeah.
Right,
because he's so big, yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, so I don't know. This movie was amazing. I think all the themes that we've been discussing were really, really brilliantly like showcased in this movie, and subtly too. Like it's not like the movie's saying like fuck America, like not once really even. But it has those themes throughout it, and not in a pro-Japanese way where it's like fuck America for what they did to us, but more of like it was more of like a pro-human thing that I kind of felt from it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's a we're on our own, and we're fucked.
We got to get it done,
and our imperial ways aren't working, and we need to find a better way through this. And at the end, you kind of do, like, even through all the loss and everything, and the judgment and the guilt and all that stuff, like you find a way and you make it through. You fight.
Yeah.
Here's a good blurb here. So. Where's the quote? I just lost it. So when inquired if Godzilla was good or bad, producer Shogo Tamiyama likened it to a Shinto god of destruction, which lacks moral agency and cannot be held to human standards of good and evil. He totally destroys everything, and then there is a rebirth. Something new and fresh can begin.
Thanos snap almost. Yeah.
Tomoyuki Tanaka noted in his book that Godzilla and humanity can become temporal allies against greater threats. However, they are essential enemies due to the difficulty to coexist. And so, you know, what is that if not a allegory for the human condition?
What is an ant has no qualms with my boot?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so those themes I thought were great, and then just as a Godzilla flick, I thought it was fucking awesome. Like the action was great, the special effects were great. Godzilla was doing all the things you want to see Godzilla do. I thought it was fucking awesome that they took a lot of inspiration from Jaws, and a lot of this movie is shot like in the open sea of him swimming and like sort of
the swimming
his fins.
was awesome. Yeah, they did a really good job. I'm glad they won an Oscar for this because like even though Marvin said like. The walking is a little funky sometimes, and you know it looks a little weird sometimes. But the animation in this, the effects and everything, it was amazing.
Like him heating up the heat ray with the
charge up,
charging up. It was so good,
yeah.
And the sounds were great.
Oh yeah,
like that Godzilla song hits.
Yeah, it does.
And to be honest, this movie puts fucking. This is why we opened the show with me saying like, you know. Something along the lines of how this puts fucking American big budget films to shame, really, because this is a relatively low budget film.
What was it?
Oh yeah, under 35, I believe, if I remember correctly. It was probably 15 to 20 million, and it made like a lot of money. So this was one of those testaments to small budget films.
Million.
Yeah, it was
small budget films can do fucking amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about making a $300 million movie for Brad Pitt F1 racing.
Yeah.
Right, what? Why you even need that much? That's because the actors, like
well,
all these actors,
also,
like we don't know. Like all the actors in this, we don't really know them, but they did an amazing job.
Well, there's some guys in there I recognized.
Really?
But yeah.
I think,
I don't know. I mean, paying actors is one thing, but effects and stuff, you know, like F1 racing stunt drivers, coordination, all that stuff. Like you're paying a lot for some stuff, depending on what you're doing. Like even like Top Gun, you're flying those planes.
A big part of the budget.
Oh yeah, actor fees is absolutely yes.
Brad Pitt, he's probably getting like 50 million or some crazy shit. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is actually a little bit of controversy there, because people are saying how it's, you know, they're praising it was made on such a low budget, but a lot of that has to do with Japanese labor laws. So this movie could be seen as borderline exploitative to the people involved.
I think he might have actually said he'd be willing to make a sequel and almost thought about wanting to do it in America so that he could do it on a bigger budget. I think there was something along that. I'll have to go look it up next time. But like after the Oscars, he said something about wanting to do a sequel with a bigger budget. Yeah,
so just to give a little bit of insight into that, so some Western journalists suggested that its low budget and low amount of animators reflected harsh working conditions in the Japanese film industry. Sam Williamson from Collider addressed that Japan's labor laws incentivize studios to keep costs low at the expense of the cast and crew. He noted that Japanese actor Kanji Furutachi had once stated that Japan lacks unions for actors and filmmakers, which brings a low-quality environment with long hours and low wages and rise to exploitation. Likewise, Kevin Slane of Boston.com felt the explanation for the film's visual effects being superior to that of the majority of Marvel Studios' $200 million movies on a roughly $12 million budget, to the likelihood that the visual effects crew had faced cruel working conditions. According to Yamazaki, the visual effects team was not mistreated, having avoided working long hours on the film, and they installed a kitchen in the studio to make it more comfortable and cozy. Moreover, he explained that there are two categories of animation studios in Japan, white and black, with black studios being the exploiters. The name of the film's visual effects studio, Shirigumi, literally means white team in Japanese. So
it's fake news.
It could be.
That is like the tech bro approach, though. Like, hey, we put everything in the office, so you never have to go home. That's like Silicon Valley, like Google fucking headquarters type shit.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
But I also was reading though that the budgets aren't as high and all that because a lot of the times Japanese movies aren't ever expected to even make it out of Japan.
That could be too.
They're not expected to sell that much, so
could be a variety of different things. Like I don't think it necessarily has to be one thing. But regardless, went on to win Best Visual Effects at the Oscars this year. It was the first Godzilla film ever to be nominated for an Academy Award, as well as the first Japanese and Asian film to be nominated for and win, as well as the first non-English language film to win in the Best Visual Effects category. Yamazaki became the first director since Stanley Kubrick for 2001: A Space Odyssey in 1969. And Kyoko Shibuya became the first woman of color to win in the category. At the 19th Austin Film Critics Association Awards, Godzilla Minus One was selected as the 6th best film of 2023 and won Best International Film. And it's being praised by American audiences and people in Hollywood themselves. It's got praise from fucking Guillermo del Toro, fucking Steven Spielberg, fucking Gareth Edwards, like all sorts of people. Adam Wingard said it was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's got some. It's up there with some greats as far as best visual effects for Oscars. Like last year was Avatar: The Way of Water. Mm-hmm. The year before that was Dune Part 1. So I mean,
the movie is,
and that's funny because of the budgets of both of those movies combined is like ridiculous.
The movie is just phenomenal. It's getting well-earned praise. I mean, it's not really a kaiju film, but it's really, really effective, and maybe it'll change the landscape of how American big budget films are made because they're not great. And this kind of shows that you can make a really great film on a fucking smaller budget. That is a big budget
you
film.
Trust, you gotta. Trust some new actors. Give them a shot.
Yeah.
Yamazaki was talking to Empire, and he noted that a sequel isn't officially happening. This was back in February. Mm-hmm. But he's very curious about Shikishima and Noriko's future. I would certainly like to see what the sequel would look like, he says. I know that Shikishima's war seems over, and we've reached this state of peace and calm, but perhaps it's the calm before the storm, and the characters have not yet been forgiven for what has been imposed upon them.
Damn.
Okay.
So, ominous sequel. That sounds amazing. But it still hasn't been greenlit yet. Once we find that shit out, we'll let you know, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys would like to say before we go on to rate it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, just to wrap up, it was widely considered one of the best films of 2023. And it is now being.
I've been stoked, man. Because I watched this one and I got to rewatch it. And I was like, man, this is so fucking good.
So good, yeah.
It's now being considered one of the greatest Godzilla films ever made. It was.
I actually think it is.
I think it probably is too. I'm not as well versed in Godzilla, but I mean, I can't see how it's not. It was placed 30th on IndieWire's annual critics poll, of which 158 critics worldwide voted in, and many critics on RogerEbert.com included it in their individual listings of the best 10 films of 2023. As of 2024, it remains the 4th highest rated movie of 2023 on Rotten Tomatoes and maintains the highest certified critical rating for a Godzilla film. And on IMDb, it has an 8.0, which is very high. Mm-hmm. What do you got, Dusty?
I give it an 8.5. Give it a bump. I can't give it a 9 because 9's my perfect, but
okay.
I almost did it. I almost did it. It's an 8.5 though.
Marvin?
This is a 10 for me.
Oh, nice. Wow. Yeah. That's big.
Yeah.
I would give it a 9, I think. The only reason I don't give it a 10, I have one small criticism of it, and it's just being an American. I don't know that the kamikaze angle was effective for me as an audience member, or maybe any Americans. I could empathize with that, like being a fucking fighter pilot in a very specific military at a very specific time in history where you're told like, hey, it is your honor and duty to die for your country.
Yeah.
Like Masters of the Air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally don't I could empathize with it, but I can't totally really put myself in that headspace because I obviously don't have that lived experience, and I'm not Japanese. I don't have Japanese relatives. Like, for me, I would be like, you asking me to fucking crash my plane? Like, fuck off. I'm just going to fly off into the sunset the way this guy did. So, like...
Yeah, I can see that. I mean...
So, like, wait. So, he's presented as, like, a fucking dishonorable fucking scumbag for a large majority of the movie.
Yeah.
That I didn't, like, really identify with. The survivor guilt and stuff I can totally
that's
understand.
hard to, though. Like, that, I mean, that's like trying to emphasize with a British soldier or a redcoat or something that like runs away from the line in a field where cannonballs and shit. You're just standing in front of each other and fucking shooting. Like,
you're right. What were you gonna say, Marvin?
The way they fought wars back then was brutal.
Yeah.
Have you watched a lot of like samurai stuff? Like, it's like the same premise. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, that comes from feudalist Japan. Like, that was the samurai's way. Like, what do? The fucking, what is that called? Where you kill yourself? Sudoku? No, that's the game.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Seppuku.
Seppuku. Yeah.
Harikiri.
Yeah, if you dishonor like I said, they're clan and
very
your family,
honorable cultural honor dishonor. But also, like I said back then, very, very brutal. So,
but that lasted into the 20th century. Like during World War II, like that's what the kamikaze was. Like that's what the mentality was. It's like it's your honor to fucking die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
You're dishonoring your family and your country if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that was really my own thing. It's not necessarily a criticism of the film itself. It's just a part of the movie where I was like a little bit less attached to it because like I just can't understand what that's like. I was just like, well, that's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like that's I would never, I mean, I guess if I was him, I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining correctly. Like I understood why he would have felt that way being from that culture in that time, but I couldn't fully commit
hard to relate.
Yeah.
Hard to relate.
Exactly. But otherwise, yeah, it's fucking 9 for me. Great fucking movie.
Awesome.
I think it was probably, like, I would agree. It's definitely one of the best movies I've seen from 2023. I thought this was better than Oppenheimer. Sorry, fucking everybody.
Well, yeah, I agree.
And it's not because it's like an action movie. Like, again, you take Godzilla out of this, better movie, in my opinion.
This is definitely my probably number 1 movie of the year.
I think Oppenheimer might be one of the most overhyped movies I think I've ever seen, but we'll move on from it. All right. But yeah, so there you have it, folks. That's Godzilla Minus One. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought if you've seen it. If you're a Godzilla fan, like if you know like all the history and lore, drop some knowledge in the comments. We love to hear that shit. Leave a like and subscribe and do all that great stuff for us. It really helps us out. And if you want to get in touch, you can check out harshlanguage.tv where all our links are. But otherwise, we will catch you folks next week. Thank you for watching and or listening. We'll catch you then.
What are we doing next week?
What did the schedule say, Marvin?
Monkey Man.
Oh yeah, Monkey Man.
Monkey Man, that's right.
Monkey Man. Did you guys? You guys never responded. I gave you what my Make Marvin Watch pick is this month in Discord.
Yeah. Let's go.
It is Chinatown.
Nice.
One of the greatest films ever made.
1974.
When I first read it, my brain went to Big Trouble Little China,
which would be a good pick, to be fair.
That's a good one.
That's a great John Carpenter movie. One of my favorites of his. But yeah,
Chinatown, great.
So yeah,
I've seen Rumble in the Bronx.
That different. We got a lot of good stuff lined up, folks. So if you want to be notified for all that stuff, remember, just follow, subscribe, hit the button, do the stuff. But we'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching, folks.
See ya.
Asta.